I'd like to officially welcome both of you for being here, for wanting to sit with me. Alex, Seth,
Yeah.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you.
I did a little peep into your profile and the work you've done and the academy that you're running in Durban. I'm hoping you'll tell us about it at some point.
Yeah.
Arish,
Arish,
Sirkissoon.
yeah.
Why Alex Seth when your parents gave you such a beautiful name?
Firstly, I want to say thank you for letting us come here and,
Yeah.
and spend some time with you. I think the impact you're having right now on the community is one that needs to be talked about. And I was telling you earlier, to be in any type of, you can call this entertainment, right? I mean, you need a thick skin. And I'm glad that you are, pushing forward and doing the things you do. Everyone I talk to has only got positive things to say about you. Absolutely positive
You're not
things.
talking to enough people, or they're lying.
No, that's not true. I mean, we wouldn't
Thank you,
be here.
Alex.
We wouldn't be here. When we were talking about people that we wanted to sit down with, your name was large on the list. I was pushing for it.
Thank you.
So what happened was I was when I was younger, I wanted to be a pop star. I became a pop star, and when negotiating my deals, we were faced with. I was signed to T-Series India at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Congrats, by the way.
Thank
People
you.
may not know this. That's a huge deal.
Thank you so much. It was big at the time, so we had Jay Sean in the UK, and we had Ragav in Canada, and we were like, Arish Sirkissoon might not be commercial enough for us to get a global
Arish.
audience. What happened is, in my ancestral home in Bukhara, India, on a tree was carved. It looked like an Allen eggs, and they were sets. His surnames were sets.
Yeah.
So I kind of heard those stories and kind of adapted into Alex Seth, and that's became my stage name. Now it becomes the company I run on a daily basis. So
Jeez,
yeah.
that's beautiful, bro. So it still has some type of family link. It's not like you just pick some random name.
No, it wasn't something. I didn't pick something English just for the sake of it.
Sure.
It had some deep roots within my family, and I've been back to my ancestral homes, and the Vermas and the Sets. They're there and that sort of thing. They're very proud of the work I'm doing, actually.
And
They're always sending me
prominent
demos.
families.
Yeah. They're jewelers. They're very. I think every week they try to send me a demo, like I'm the sign them. I don't know if they know music is dead. I'm not sure if they know, but
Music is dead.
yeah. Well, music in the sense, the reason I got into film is because what was happening back then was piracy was becoming such a big thing.
Yeah.
You had Napster, you had LimeWire. People just weren't buying physical copies. We were making money of live shows, and after live shows, you would sell physical copies.
Yeah.
And then what happened is the business model changed, and then we had to change, and it just didn't become financially something that was,
As
you wanted
viable
to
as it
do.
used to be.
Yeah. We didn't want to do it anymore, so we started scoring movies at first. Then I started producing them. Then I started directing them. So it was that type of scaffold, but it's all God. It really is.
Jeez, thank you.
Destiny. It really is.
Mrs. Shameen, Thakur, Rajbansi, I'm really honored to have you here. Your story as a human being, as a political figure, as someone who's worked in the healthcare or medical space, more than anything as a home girl from Newcastle.
Yes.
I'm honored to meet you. I found out that, you went to one of our sister schools in Newcastle and you were head girl at St. Oswald's.
Yes, in Roswell's High.
You're always meant for leadership, guiding people, and we're here for you. But if you could just, for people that have maybe never heard of you, never seen you, who's Shameen? What do you do?
Well, I think I was this little country girl who had big dreams. And I always knew that, someday I'm going to do great things. So in Newcastle, the only avenues to reach out to the world was radio. And then came TV.
Yeah.
And when TV came, my first stint at starting to talk and use a platform was school debates. And I started out there, and that made me a thinker. It gave me a lot of that outlet for, that fire in my belly to want to say what I wanted to say as a young lady, and for it to be heard. Because I certainly was not a person who believed that a child should just be seen and not heard. And And I felt that I can make a difference in anything that I did. And I felt that I could achieve anything I set my heart to. And my greatest motivator and mentor was my dad. He was a teacher. So I was the eldest of 6 girls. And somewhere in my mind, I felt that my mom was always wanting a boy. Because
Wow.
traditionally in the Indian community, you had to have a son to carry your
The family
family
name.
Girls would change their name on marriage. And today I think people can see things so different, because we even have legislation where just recently in the Constitutional Court, a man can take a woman's surname.
Correct.
So God, times have changed. But for my dad's sake and my mom's sake, I felt that I was going to be this girl that was going to carry my father's name, because my father said that he's 6 girls where he's 6 sons. And he got taken away from us very tragically when I was only 17 years old.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there I thought that, I had lost, the only role model that I knew. But I didn't think for a minute that my mother, being so conservative, would be equal to the job. And she mentored us after that. And my dad wanted me to be a doctor, but my mom wanted me to be a pharmacist. And because of the stereotypes, she just thought it was a good job for a girl. And I wanted to be a lawyer because of my debates, because I felt that as a lawyer, I could take on the government. I would know the law. I felt that that was a requirement to be a good politician, that you need to know the law well to actually use the law to defend yourself and your communities. But my father thought that I'd go to Robben Island, and he said, no, you just say anything and everything, and you would get yourself into a lot of trouble. So the thing is that I went to university, and eventually I followed what my mother wanted me to do. I then practiced in a very low socioeconomic area in Phoenix. And I grew to love the community, because the community was one that, reciprocated very well to wanting good health care. But at the same time, in the counseling sessions, they had a lot of problems. They had a lot of social problems.
Correct.
And then I realized that I could become very rich in this community just selling medicines, but it wasn't going to solve their problems.
Yes.
They had bigger problems. And then I started engaging on those problems, and I realized that, hey, I needed to find the representatives who can help them, like the councillors and the MPs. And when I got hold of them, which was after a while and a struggle, I realized that they didn't even know how to help the people, because we had just gone into a democracy that time. I had opened my practice in 1990. Then by 1994, we fought the first elections. And as my patients started telling me their problems, because everyone was so excited that we're now into a new regime and we're going to get everything done for us, but the problems were there. So I think the new MPs and councils, they were also finding their feet and sort of trying to get used to this new way of governance. And they too were trying to learn how and who's going to help people, the people. And then I said, no. I think that this is the right time to do more than just sit behind a counter and make money. And that's when I decided I'll fight elections. And many parties were also asking me to be part of their party, because they saw I was doing community work and engaging with the politicians. But I said, no, I'm going to do my politics differently, because I'm a grassroots kind of person. And I come from Newcastle, so I know that how conservative that town was, and how my mom and my dad had to do so much to even get the attention of a local municipality to get things done in our street, for example. So I knew that this was not going to be easy. This was going to be, and we didn't have a voice at that time, but people had to go personally to the lawmakers or the councils and get things done for themselves. But eventually it would help the whole community. Now I realize that this is a community-driven initiative. So therefore, the community is going to choose a leader, and they're going to choose a party. So I needed, as a pharmacist, I was thinking like sort of logically about this, that if I'm the candidate they want, then I must also be in a party that they want.
Yeah.
If I can get that done as a woman, I can break through this ceiling of this patriarchal political space, because I saw that in 1994, 1996, so many prominent doctors and professionals fighting elections, but they were losing. And they were losing to ordinary people. And I wondered, hey, but these are my colleagues. And we are doing such great job in the community in terms of healthcare, but why are they not winning elections? And then I realized that they were popular maybe, but they were not in the right party.
Yeah.
So then I decided I'm not making this mistake. Then I said, let me do a survey with the patients and ask them which party they'd like. And then each one was telling me they don't like all the parties that are there in Phoenix, but there's one party that hasn't made its presence in Phoenix, and that's the Minority Front.
Yeah.
And they said, you've got to look for Mr. Rajbansi, because Mr. Rajbansi is based in Chatsworth, and he does a great job for the people of Chatsworth. And if you get into his party, then we like you, and we like his party, and we're going to vote for you. So I believed in my patients. And that's what I did eventually. And then I fought my first elections in 1999. I had only met Mr. Rajbansi in 1998. From 1996, I was trying to find Mr. Rajbansi. And I just couldn't, because somehow we were like missing each other and not getting connected. And eventually in 1998, by default, I got hold of Mr. Rajbansi, and then became the head of the Women's League in that year, because they had an election process. And in that 1 year, with the training, the intense training that he had given me, I was eager to learn it, because it was something that was hidden in my soul from my debating days, that I wanted to follow great leaders. I wanted to be like Indira Gandhi, and I wanted to be like Martin Luther King, and all these great people that I used to read about when I used to debate. And I said I wanted to do great things like them. But Mr. Rajbansi did the 1 year training, and I fought the election in 1999, and I won my seat from the Phoenix constituency.
Brilliant.
Which term after term, 5 consecutive terms, I continuously won elections every time I fought elections with Mr. Rajbansi, and then even post his demise, I always won my seat. Yeah. So that's been my journey.
Shout out to the people of Phoenix. Thank you, Shameen.
Yeah.
The Bengal tiger is why we're here, Alex.
Yeah.
Now that we've touched on him, Mr. Amichand Rajbansi, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
You saw something in that story. You felt like it hadn't been told. I don't know if you'd like to share the journey that you've been on regarding that.
I just want to say before that, but you all did connect it eventually, right? Connected.
Connected.
Yes. There's children watching at home.
Okay, sorry. But
Jeez.
just connection, like spiritually. That's what I'm talking about. You know, it's something I was chasing. You know, I say this at my premieres. It's something I was chasing for a very long time. The reason why I was chasing it was whether you loved him or whether you hated him. So polarizing. Every Indian household knows his name. Every Indian household has a story. And they all, kind of, when he was around, gravitated towards him, no matter what it was. And the press loved to hate him, and I thought to myself, no matter how people view this man, there needs to be a story about him, whether it's a movie or a documentary. So when I was doing my first movie, Toklosh The Calling, just before lockdown, I met with Shameen's late son, Pradil. And he came to the premiere. He loved the movie. He loved the psychology behind it. And we started a conversation. And I said, you know what? I really want to make a movie or film on Mr. Rajbansi. And he said, me too. And I don't think a lot of people know what deep love Pradil had for this man. I mean, he used to call me on the phone and talk to me, about, he wasn't his biological father, but, there was something there that he shared the same passion with me. So we got his fiancée involved, Priyanka, and we started to go through archives. they started to send me stuff to have a look at and stuff. So they were looking through old newspapers and videos, and they started to collect things. And 2 days before, I get a call from Priyanka. She's so excited. She's just finished her MBA, and she's about to go to New York and do all of these things that young people do when they're doing all of these things. And she was over the moon. And she says, "We're ready to shoot. We've got the stuff ready." And then I think it was 2 weeks later, I get a call that both of them had passed away in a tragic car accident.
Jeez.
And the halt of that, or the impact of that on both of us, was, I thought to myself at that point, I mean, how does Sham recover from this? I mean, I was thinking to myself, this is, to forget the documentary, forget all of those things, how does she, on a psychological level? I tell people she doesn't get enough credit. I think the Indian community is so kind of blindsided by the propaganda, home wrecker, all of these things that the paper, kind of push towards her. That
they've accused her of.
Yes, that they fail to see the genius that she is. They fail to see, I compare sometimes to Elvis's wife, Priscilla Presley. They were not together anymore, but when he passed on, she made sure she did everything to keep Elvis's legacy alive, even to today.
Yeah.
If you go to Las Vegas, there's Elvis machines. There is, Graceland turned into a tourist spot. Everything she can do to make sure his legacy is cemented, this woman does. People don't see that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They only know what they've read 20 years ago,
Sure.
whatever the case may be. My concern was her. It wasn't the documentary. So I check in on her and we go back and forth. I didn't think we'd get it made. And then one evening she called me. And we're having a conversation. I said, I think we need to get this made. Not just for Mr. Rajbansi, but I think for Pradil and Priyanka. I think they would have wanted us to do it. And I said, who knows? Maybe this will be a healing kind of journey with and I think that's exactly what it's been. I think you and I have been on some, it's been the last 3 years have been some crazy ups and downs, but we got it done. And I think this premiere tour is actually showing us, how much support this documentary really has. After the first premiere, the next morning, my phone was just buzzing the whole day. I had to put it on Do Not Disturb because I had so much work to do. Because people are coming back and saying, and I don't think it's isolated to Mr. Rajbansi. I think we as the Indian community, we like to write books, right? Lots of books. But the new generation, they don't read anymore. The attention span is not there. We need more visual. We need more documentation in the visual form. And I think that's what I aim to do. I aim to kind of take sung and unsung heroes. I mean, how many people have fought in the struggle that you will never know their names?
Of course.
I mean, people's grandparents, their pictures hanging on the wall, and it's a story that no one will ever know their sacrifice.
It almost seems like it's intentional in how some stories are suppressed.
We need poster boys, right?
Yeah.
We need poster boys to tell our story to the rest of the world. So we need a face. But I can tell you that those faces would not exist without the people behind them that made that happen, the people who scaffolded them to that point.
Yeah.
And those are the stories we need to tell, or from every cultural point of view, So we ended up finishing it, and we had a great team. I just want to mention them: Suvina Harilal, Pooja Singh, my team, Edwin Cole, Amish Gaduki. I mean, we kind of all got together and made this thing happen. But for me, it's a story that when people leave the cinema, they're not just going to know the politician, they're going to know the man, and they're going to know a little bit more about him and how he was a career politician. He cared about the community. If you look at something in the documentary, even before he was a politician, he was a PRO for Clover. And he used to bring the community of Chatswood together. And the Hayes Connaught did a count of how many people were there. He used to organize it himself. 78,000 people at those grounds. He did it himself. And he was meticulous about everything. He was a marketing genius. I want people to leave that cinema or that theater going, wow, we had that wrong. And if you didn't like him, walk out going, this was a good documentary.
Sure.
Something like that.
Okay. Before I get back to Shameen, I guess for people that don't know, the name The Bengal Tiger comes from where? Why would you name the documentary after that? And what is the hope for the movie or the documentary itself?
Well, it's a term of endearment, isn't it? I mean, affectionately known as the Bengal Tiger. I think Sham can take you more through it.
Yeah,
Sure.
the media gave him that name, actually. So the Bengal Tiger, it's very well-known, popular animal in India. And it comes from the Sundarbans part of India. And this tiger is very special to Indian people because it's a fierce tiger. It's always lurking in those estuaries and all that there. And it can pounce on you at any time. But there's a problem with the tiger because that tiger was becoming extinct. So it became a big Indian program to try and propagate those species so that it doesn't become extinct. So in that way, that tiger is a very protected animal. But also in our culture and all that, like you would find with some other parties, they have certain animals that on their logos. Same with the MF, it has a tiger logo. And all that has come because the media then pushed this animal quality onto Mr. Rajbansi because they looked at him and he was courageous and he was fierce and he would go head on into matters, and he'd make sure that he would never give up and he would fight right till the end till he got what he wanted. So I think that sort of fierce characteristics and the courageousness and the strength and the stamina with which he'd get things done and the pace at which he would go. I mean, he was terribly resourceful even with limited things. And I think that putting all that together, the media called him wonderful things. They gave him all these headline names like the Bengal tiger, the Chatsworth champ, the petrol stream of Indian politics, the Carney duet, the Karoo animal, the Karoo plant that never refuses to die, that kind of thing. They gave him all those different titles.
Yeah.
But I think the one that stuck out for us was the Bengal tiger. And then that became very transformative in the party sense as a party evolved, because when Mr. Rajbansi moved from the NPP in the Tricam system, he then in the Democratic era, he started the Minority Front, and the first logo of the Minority Front was this olive Greek branch, like a peace branch. But the thing is that I think that was what he wanted to convey in this new era.
Sure.
About after Kudesa and all that people should just be peaceful because it was needed for prosperity. But by the time I joined the party, I was thinking about this thing about the Bengal tiger. Every time you read like through the old newspaper clippings and you're doing a manifesto, every time this big headline would come that the Bengal tiger, the Bengal tiger. So then we were putting them together, and I said, there's so many titles, there's so many headings in the article where they're only referring to him as a Bengal tiger. So I said, I think it's about time we change the logo. And so we got some people together and then designed the logo, and that's how the MF logo now has the tiger emblem on the one side. It's actually synonymous with him, and it resonated very well with the voters and the public because they could connect the both. It was always a headline in the paper, and people, you'd go even today, like 14 years after his demise, people lovingly call him our Bengal tiger. That's how they address him. So it's something that actually came from the media. The media played a very
and he would take the
important
tiger.
role
He would
in
take the
that.
tiger everywhere. He bought one tiger. he'd
Are
take
you
it
serious?
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
A real tiger.
He'd take
Oh,
the fluff, the
Okay,
teddy bear.
geez, you almost scared me
No,
for a moment.
But don't worry, in the 2009 election,
Yes.
he actually was writing to the IC and everybody. He wanted to get higher, a real
tiger.
and he wanted to take it through the streets. And then there was such a backlash in the party because I mean, I sit on the environment. I should sit on the environment committee, and I said to him, oh God, you're going to get animal activists outraged if you do a thing like this. And plus, public liability and all that. So I said, no, we're not doing this thing. But he
had a tiger mascot.
No, and then eventually when he passed on, for the 2014 election, you won't believe it, I got someone to design a tiger mascot. And everywhere in our campaigns, we had a tiger mascot.
Brilliant. We're both from Newcastle. I matriculated at Newcastle High. And after I left, the headmaster there became Mr. Govender. and they would convert into becoming the Newcastle Tigers. That's what they're known as today.
Wow.
Okay.
Which is quite interesting. And I wonder if that could maybe work in terms of some type of politicking or just riding on the Tiger wave. Because, again, the links to India, big Indian community,
Yeah.
Very big.
they would take over the governing body, which was predominantly white in the past. And even having an Indian/colored headmaster would be something transformative
Yeah.
where we come from.
You
Yeah,
guys are giving me
absolutely.
like Newcastle FOMO. Like, I wish I was there.
Yeah, I was so sorry you come from like that little
Use-
dorpy of
I
Durban.
wish I was from Newcastle now. Mom,
Newcastle.
what did you do? Dad. Yo.
Alex, your wishes for the documentary and the film.
You know, I often find that people talk about, especially in this day and age, especially they talk about politics, but I don't think they understand it the way it should be understood. When you go into this documentary, we talk very deeply about the tri-camp system, which Mr. Rajbansi was very, very deep in. I mean, I've got footage of F.W. de Klerk having a party at his house in Chatsworth. That is deep.
Hectic.
I'm talking 80s.
Yeah.
I'm talking 84, 86, around there. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't think a lot of people knew how deep he was trying to negotiate with the apartheid government, how he was trying to get them on his side so they could make little changes, so they could find a way to make communities better. People have a perception, and that's fine. But I hope this documentary kind of sheds light not only on what the tri-camp system was, but how people within our community kind of made sacrifices that are not talked about today to get us to this democracy that we're in. Democracy, right?
Yeah.
So I hope that the youth watch this. I hope it's played in schools so we have an understanding of where all of this comes from, and also the power of negotiation.
Yeah.
I think
Is the
sometimes-
documentary for the Indian community?
No.
To tell their story?
It's not about the it's about the man Rajbansi and his mark on a country.
Okay. As
you
a
know,
whole.
As a whole.
Not just fighting for the Indian community.
I've got footage of Mandela at his house,
Yeah.
and Mandela giving some great words about how he stopped for a second to admire the greatness of Mr. Rajbansi.
Yeah.
It is a documentary where if you didn't know anything about Mr. Rajbansi, my mum watched it, right? It's 2.5 hours. She came to the premiere. I talk a lot about my mum and my bread. She
My
watched
mum
it.
is good.
I didn't expect her to watch it. She said she's like, come for half an hour. It's too long.
Sure.
She watched the whole thing, and as she's coming out, she said, every single person in this country needs to watch this documentary. I went home and she's texting me. She's like, this was so great. This is amazing. And that's a type of kind of response we're getting everywhere.
Yeah.
We thought it might be too long at 2.5 hours.
Sure.
Just keep in mind, I've got 9 episodes that we this is the cinematic cut. I've got 9 episodes, 9 hours long of interviews and that sort of thing. This is a 2.5 hour. It was painstaking to cut it down to them. But I think I've watched 3 premieres now. We've probably done about 500 people so far in cinemas. And I've been outside the whole time. I'm not going to watch it again. I've watched it 20 million times. There's only been a handful of people that have come out to pee and they go right back. No one has left the cinema. And I think that's what's amazing about it. I want people to leave the cinema being a little bit more educated about politics, a little bit more educated about the man, Mr. Rajbansi.
Are you hoping that it can inspire young people to maybe
Yes.
become more politically active? So,
Yes.
so for example, it's a movie about a great man that we've lost, who was part of or who led the Minority Front, used to lead the National People's Party, etc. Are you hoping that young people, please come watch it because you're going to learn something you didn't know before, and it's going to spark something that you weren't aware was there?
Yeah, it's a movie about ambition. It's a movie about perseverance. I mean, it's really, really that sort of thing. If you want to know where to start, you need to. I mean, if you look at the way he handled politics, I mean, he would stay up to 2, 3 in the morning just thinking about how he could help the community. What's his next move? He had this typewriter, right? That he would type letters all the time to the press. He would just write letters all night, all day. He was that type of guy. And I think politics misses him for that reason, is that I don't think we get too many career politicians anymore. I think we get politicians for kind of like the wrong reason, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think, but he really, from the time he was young as a referee, the only thing he wanted to do was help the community. And I think that type of, if someone's watching him as a man, not as an Indian, or, as a man, and the ambition and the perseverance, I think that carries a lot of weight.
Thank you. Shameen, what are we missing about the Indian community as South Africans? By South Africans, I mean the majority, 80% black. I know colored people are trying to have a voice now. I think they're about 8%. And of course, the 8% white who used to dominate the country, the apartheid government, the British before, and even now, many accusing them of still having a stronghold on the economy. What are we missing from the Indian community? What is the Indian community trying to communicate, and what should everyone else be listening to?
I think the Indian community has been docile sometimes when it comes to politics because they're so busy trying to contribute in every other sector, but in a silent way.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the way they are traditionally, where they don't make a big thing about every little thing that they're doing. These are all milestones, but it adds up in the end. A documentary like Mr. Rajbansi's shows you those missing gaps, because the thing is that, he cut his teeth into politics from 12 years old. He had already started working with great stalwarts like Moses Mabhida, Robert Resha, Nkosi Albert Luthuli, Madiba, from his Clearwood days, from his school days. And a lot of that history is not known and it's not covered. So when you look at the documentary, you will see how he mobilized the Indian community because he felt it was a gap. He felt that they needed to make an effort to make their voices heard, and they needed to have good leadership. So currently you would find that is lacking after his demise. And people say it all the time that they long for another Rajbansi.
Yeah.
They long for a person who can speak out for the Indian community and get them like their rightful place, whether it's in the economy, whether it's in our culture, whether it's to add to our diversity. But we know that Indian people bring a lot to the rich diversity of the community. And Mr. Rajbansi was hell-bent onto ensuring that there was social cohesion. He was hell-bent on being a nationalist first rather than a patriot, that people just use those terminologies so loosely, because he knew that every Indian is a nationalist first, because it comes from our ancestral roots. Remember, we come from indentured stock. So his grandparents had come here from the paternal and maternal sides, like as far back as 1878, 1860. And he's had a rich ancestral background where they came as just ordinary workers, carpenters, farmers, etc. And all that, had challenges. So he watched that as he was growing up. And I think the biggest challenge was the Group Areas Act, which he abhorred. And he went into politics strongly because of that, because his family was displaced from Clearwood. And for the Indian community, stability is very important. Today, when you look at our governance and our government, and you look at race-based laws, Mr. Rajbansi started the Minority Front, and he realized that from the Tricam, where he was trying to get a foot in the door and to break that system from the inside. And you'll see very clearly in the movie about the strategy, because he worked with Madiba for many years, many years from a child. And Nkosi Albert Luthuli, he knew much more about ANC stalwarts than ANC people today know about their own stalwarts.
I can imagine.
And they would call him. He was the only person allowed to come and lay the wreath at Nkosi Albert Luthuli's gravesite in Groudval, because he knew him from a child. You see, so and at Robert Resha, when his remains were brought back to South Africa, Mr. Rajbansi, out of all Indians in the ANC, he was the only one allowed to give a speech because he knew him.
Yeah.
He had worked with him. So the thing is with Mr. Rajbansi, so little is known about different parts of his life.
Yeah.
I think the movie brings all that together. And the fact that he really wanted social cohesion. He's a nationalist. He wanted to make sure that South Africa was a superior country. It was and could be even more superior than others, because we needed to compete as a nation, and that there was supposed to be no color. Everyone was supposed to do their share in making us a big, prosperous nation and a respected nation. And that's what he was always fighting for. And he didn't want to see discrimination. So discrimination is a thing that hurts people deeply. But for some people, it hurts so deep that it pushes you into politics, because that's where the laws are made, and that's where you're going to get social justice, you're going to get economic justice, you can just get human rights there, and therefore you pushed into it. I just want to say one thing about the actual reason why I was so determined, even myself. Mr. Rajbansi, it was about the group areas, and when his family was displaced and moved out of Clarewood and put into Chatsworth, and he realized then that he's leaving teaching and he's going to go into the local affairs committee and he's going to do what it takes to get these group areas out, and he's going to fight the racist Durban City Council. That's why he went into LEC, even as a poor person with not a cent in his pocket, but he went door to door and got his vote and got into that place because he was going to fight for the people. For me, it was when I was being taken for a debate. I was being brought to Pietermaritzburg because I used to take part in what was called the Jan Hofmeyr Freedom Speech Contest. In those days, today it's the Alan Payton speech contest. Sure. But that was a contest where you could speak your mind and you wouldn't get into jail. So I used to represent Northern Natal in the finals for those debates. And when I'd come to Pietermaritzburg, I was only debating as an Indian girl against white boys who had come from the private schools in Maritzburg. But I would speak about anything, and it was always a political speech that I would make to a purely white audience with white judges. And I'd be placed second, but I knew that it was going to happen. They could not place me first.
Sure.
It would have to be the other. So the thing is that once when I was being taken by my teachers to Alexander Boys High, it was winter, and Newcastle, Ladysmith and all that, absolutely freezingly cold.
Freezing, yeah.
And my teachers stopped in Ladysmith and at the Wimpy, and they gave myself and my friend some money and said, go and buy some chips or tea or something like that. And they went off to fill petrol and stuff. So then we got into Wimpy, and like a young child, I didn't think. I saw a cord, but I just walked straight into the one path to the counter. And then there was a big size white man there, and he says, you're in the wrong queue. You must walk back, and then you come out of the shop and you walk through the other side, and that's your queue.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, hey, what's this? So we walked back and we went into the other queue, but I felt very hurt because I was wondering, why is there a cord here?
Yeah.
And then I saw that on this side, so when I got onto that side, I saw that there was a little restaurant there, but there were a lot of white people sitting and having their meals. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to buy these chips and we're going to buy hot tea and we're going to go and sit with them.
Yeah.
And then that's what I was doing. And then he said, no, but you can't sit over there. That's for them. You will have to go and stand outside and you can have your things outside or go to your car. And then I took these things, I went outside and I just refused to have that tea or eat that chips because I was like shivering, and I got a fever all of a sudden of why this man was behaving like this. And I was in standard 8 at that time.
Grade 10 today.
Grade 10 today. And it left an indelible impression in my mind about discrimination and how we needed to fight this discrimination, that how can this man be so inhumane? We are 2 young girls and it's getting dark because these were evening debates, mind you, and it's freezingly cold outside and he can see we in school uniform. So we are scholars. And he's got no heart. He tells us to go outside and we can see people sitting comfortably there. Yeah. So this whole picture remained in my mind forever. So when I went to this, to Alexander Boys High, I was speaking to a white audience and I was really upset. So I think I spoke very aggressively there to this audience that, their faces turned red. But it was because I was seething with a lot of anger about what just happened to me. And I told my dad when I got home. And my dad said, well, from today, I'm going to take you to the other debates that are coming. I won't even leave you with your teachers, but I will come and be by your side so that you're not upset and all that kind of thing. And he says, anyway, I don't know, what were you saying to them? I said, Dad, I actually went off script. Because I was saying some other things. And I said, even when the impromptu came, they give you an impromptu as well as where you don't see the topic. And you just have to speak off the cuff. And I said, even in the impromptu, I spoke about the difference between black and white. I picked a topic like that because I was so upset. And then I told him a mouthful because I was just trying to get rid of this anger. But that made me say, no, I have to do this thing someday. I will go into politics and I'll make sure that I will fight discrimination all the time, wherever it rears its head. Yeah.
Jeez, thank you.
I think all communities, if I can just jump in here, Pen, I think that you've got youth that are very interested, but they don't have the tools.
Sure.
There's no training. There's no one that's going to take them in and say, this is what you need to do. And I think what Shameen is doing right now with this new school that she's opening, she wants to train youth from different areas. It doesn't matter which area you're from.
Okay.
And teach them really political training of how they can get into local government, how they can make a change. Teach them, give them the tools of how, because I think there's a lot of dynamic youth out there that can make a difference. They just don't know how.
That's correct.
And we need more kind of, I think government should have more of these kind of things where, in every area they should have a little base where someone can get, and I'm sure the ideas are there, but I don't think it's implemented properly. Shameen?
I think that in terms of training, political training, we had a lot of that initially when we just became a democracy.
Yeah.
Many countries gave us funding, they helped us. And thank God I got into politics at the right time because I was a person that liked training. So I used to, in our party, I was in charge of it. So the training and the research and policy making and all that. So I loved that part. And I tell you, we took full advantage of the different governments that offered it. And they offered it across the board to all political parties, sometimes as individual parties, but at other times they would bring all parties together. It was really a great system. They don't do it anymore. So today, to get into politics, you need training. And that is why you're getting so many people coming into politics, but with no training, and then they make, they make more problems than they should be solving. So the thing is that I think one of the things that we are going to do now is this training school, which I launched in December, but with the movie coming, I didn't make it operational, but we're going to do it now. And then also I'm launching a new podcast of my own. Well, I launched it in December, but we got the recording coming up now, which is called the Tigress Talks podcast.
I love it.
Yeah. So
we'll get you on.
And we're going to get you on as a guest because we
I'm
can
just
do
saying, you never mentioned
podcasts.
at any point that Mr. Rajbansi was your husband.
Yes, he was.
Because I was like, Tigress, why?
Yeah, Tigress. Because now what happened?
We didn't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
Hey!
No,
Keep it a secret.
people, you will find some MPs. They used to address him as the tiger, lovingly, and then they would address me as the tigress. Until now, that name persists. So whenever people see me anywhere in the community or my colleagues, they will always call me Tigress. The Tigress. So that name stuck, and then you see how you get names now, right? And then we also repurposed, I would say, we redid or redesigned our logo, which we're going to launch tonight. So it's a sleeker looking tiger, looking more like a tigress now.
Hey.
So that's a new thing coming.
Well, my thing, if I can jump in there, is I wanted Shameen to kind of step out of Mr. Rajbansi's shadow a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of make the minority front her own. I mean, when she inherited it, it kind of like people often associated with Mr. Rajbansi, obviously, But I think now moving forward, I think the vision for it is for it to be more youth orientated, and for her to have her own vision of what that party means now.
Yeah.
So she will tell you that they're coming back and all of those things. But that was the reasoning behind, let's have some fresh blood.
Sure.
Let's have some new energy. And I think that's what's needed. I'm very passionate at the moment about mobilizing the youth. I think that's what we need in the correct way.
Yeah.
In the correct way.
You run an academy as well?
Yes, I run an academy. It's the Alex said School of the Arts with New Metro.
Beautiful.
And it's one of those things where we take kids from underprivileged areas, and what we do is we kind of train them. Well, kids from everywhere, and we train them in front and behind the camera. So in the first year, in the first 12 months, they will shoot a short film, and New Metro will show it.
Brilliant.
And I don't think there's any, and you see my kids shooting now. Like when they came in, they didn't know things like, MTPs, blocking, script writing. And people who came in for acting now are finding that they love to work behind the camera.
Yeah.
Some love script writing. Now we're launching a year 2 where some of those kids who want to come back will come back and shoot a feature film. That New Metro. So ourselves and New Metro, and thank you New Metro for actually backing me when I went to them. It's such a ludicrous idea at the start. I said, but this is what I want to do. But I think it's needed.
Yeah.
I think the arts is not accessible anymore. If you look at the 80s and you look at the 90s, I mean, I felt as if it's more accessible, and now people just don't know where to go. And also why I launched it, there's a lot of scam artists out there.
True.
For your kid to be a model or something, they got to pay this amount. To take pictures, you got to pay money now. It's crazy. When back in the day, I remember modeling agencies would pay you to come in if they found talent.
Of course.
But now I feel like there's too many people trying to scam our kids, and I wanted something legitimate. And there's nothing more legitimate than having a cinema behind you to go, hey, you know what, we believe in what you're doing, and we think this is going to have some legs, and I think that is starting to show.
There are people that are going to go watch the movie, the documentary, after listening to this. There are people that are going to be interested in the schools.
Yeah.
Where is your school based? How do people reach out to you? And the school that's still coming on the political training, how do people access you guys? Because they might really be interested in that. They'll go watch the movie, but then they also want to carry on doing some of the work.
Yeah, they can reach me on, can I put my number?
I can drop it in the description.
They can drop it. They can reach
but are
me.
you based in a specific area? Is it open to everyone?
At the moment, it's just Durban. It's
just Durban.
It's just Durban. It's
Okay.
all we can handle right now because we're doing multiple feature films and that sort of thing. So it's in Durban. We have our lectures every Saturday at Kenobia Mall New Metro.
Oh, that's near Umhlanga.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's nothing better than teaching in an extreme cinema.
Sure.
There's something beautiful about that, So that's what we're doing. Our intake for the next year starts in Feb. So
How do you keep your school from just becoming elitist? I know a lot of private school kids from well-off families normally get into film. And to what you're saying, mostly the underprivileged kids don't get to, and it seems like that's your focus. Now, if you're saying it's open to everyone, I can imagine some of the kids from the top schools saying, oh, snap, Alex Seth is running the Staying with New Metro. This is an opportunity for us to make short films, feature films. How do you ensure that you still get to reach the underprivileged kids and it doesn't just become a private elite space?
I call this year my pilot year, and 90% of my class are scholarships.
Okay.
And that's what we do. We give a big amount of scholarships away.
Okay. You vet those kids to see where they come from.
100%. That we have to. So to make sure that there's kids from everywhere. The only thing we ask for in return is commitment. It's once a week, come in. It's a group. It's group orientated as well. Communicate with your group. I've got a kid that travels from Port Shepstone every Saturday to come to the course. This is for people who, it's innate. They can't sleep unless they do something in the arts. They want to be in front. I've got a kid from India that, he's so passionate about just wanting to be in the big screen, and he's got a main role in my movie Highway Sheila 2 that's releasing next year, that you'll watch the trailer of later. It's that type of passion you can see immediately when you're scouting these guys, that these kids want it, these kids need it, I think it starts that my team is passionate.
Thank you.
My team is passionate, and I think that without that type of passion, nothing works. I make sure we're on time every Saturday at 8:00. In fact, we're actually leaving tomorrow so we can make a lecture on Saturday.
Sure.
So we committed to it, because I think that when you commit to something like this, in order for it to scaffold, you got to give it 110%, 100%.
Brilliant. Shameen, your school on political training.
So my school on political training has to be one of a grassroots nature.
Okay.
Because our main focus has always been to churn out grassroots politicians, people who live amongst the communities and people from the downtrodden and the vulnerable communities. Because we've realized for a long time that only certain people or well-connected people can get into the big parties.
True.
It's not for the ordinary man. So if you look at the history of the NPP or the Minority Front, Mr. Rajbansi always ensured that it was people from the community. If he could make leaders of them or politicians of that caliber, they will be the people that will build trust in the community and they'll give back to the community. So that's the approach that I'm taking with this training school, because I realize that countries have pulled out, they don't train our people anymore. But the thing is that I'm following the trainer model, because if I've been trained, then I must give back to my communities. And that is all communities. This is everybody and anybody. So I have been liaising with a lot of people who are going to help me, even in the former African townships, our townships. And what I'm going to do is that my training school is going to be a very mobile school.
Yeah.
So which means that I'm going to use halls or libraries or whoever wants to help us.
Existing infrastructure.
Existing, yeah. Why, have one place where everybody can't get to that place? My whole aim and purpose is to go and seek out those leaders and those people with potential. So I'm going to go to their halls, their community spaces where they're comfortable, set up, a training space and train them for free. I don't want to make money out of them. We've had to pay money for this kind of thing, but I'm going to train them for free, because for me, it's about knowledge is for sharing. I want to do that. That's going to be our party legacy, because it's always been. In fact, if you look at Indian politicians per se, in every big party, each one of them, or even if they form their own party, they will tell you that they have been part of the MF. They only came in because of the MF. They would have never seen the light of day if they just went to a big party like that.
Sure.
So we've been that breeding pool, And
Is your focus, also Durban?
Not Durban.
Okay.
Everywhere. KZN, even here, because Mr. Rajbansi did great work in Gauteng. In the old Transvaal, in the NPP.
Yeah.
I mean, his biggest constituencies out of the 8 HOD constituencies was Lenasia. He had 3 big constituencies there. He developed places like Fordsburg, the Oriental Plaza, all the halls, all the facilities, amenities, like 25,000 houses in like 3 years.
Jeez.
For the Indian community, Lodium, Lenasia, all these different Indian townships in Springs and all the other areas. I mean, and the training colleges for the teachers, the clinics, the welfare services, all that have been part of HOD legacy in Gauteng, for example. So people here know him. It's just that we don't actually come out a lot to campaign here because we have money constraints during
limited
the elections.
resources.
Yeah. So if we were given a lot of sponsorship, I mean, I'd go to every province where Mr. Rajbansi has done great work, whether it's Cape Town and Rylands or Malabar in East London. I mean, he's built beautiful townships for the Indian people. But today we're in a democratic country, and Mr. Rajbansi always wanted democracy, and that's why he went into TRICAM and then made sure that he went alone with his own party post 1994. Although Madiba told him, come and join the ANC because his home is the ANC. But he said, no. I know Indian people and I know how they think. I'm going to make sure that minorities are first comfortable in a democracy before I tell my people it's all okay now. Until you don't protect all minorities properly, then how are we going to get the social cohesion going and everyone caring for each other?
Sure.
So that was his main aim. So that's what the training school is going to do. It's going to get people all together from all race groups. It's going to train them so that they get recognized, but they get recognized with good political training where they'll be able to stand their own and they will be able to take on other people. So it's not about, it won't anymore, I don't want it to be about money anymore, that people can just say that, oh, South Africa must go the way of slate politics. We got a lot of money, we can buy our seat. No, it shouldn't be like that. It should be that I have the ability, I'm the capable person, I'm the person that's right to go and do this work. That's how it should be. So, and then, you mentor them of what other training they need to do. You career path them that maybe you should do something in law, maybe you should do something in environment, or you should do something in health, and then use that specialized field of knowledge and then get into politics so you can make a good politician. But I just want to, and then the Tigress Talks podcast, that is home-based. At the moment, it's a home studio.
Yeah.
So Alex has seen it. We could send you some clips of it, and but it's very nice. It's a very nice, comfortable space. It's similar to this, but mine is like a bluey shade, and it's got a nice purple background for the Tigress Talks emblem and all that kind of thing. But I think that when you're a guest, and we're inviting you to be a guest, then we can share, things about podcasts and how important they are, and also our different perspectives of what we want to achieve with the type of work we're doing and the outreach we're doing. But I think that for the movie, coming back to the movie, a lot of these things has stemmed from the movie. A lot of these thoughts have stemmed from the movie. And why they've stemmed from there is because when you looked at Mr. Rajbansi's life from start to finish, you realize there was a lot of unfinished work, right? And that the next leader that takes over has to take over this baton because they are capable of running this relay. And then they need to hand it over to somebody else. So even in politics, there has to be succession planning. But how do you do succession planning? So you do it through different projects. Like now, what is currently suitable for South Africa? So we need training, and that's a gap. And so we see from Mr. Rajbansi's life that in his days, he had to train on the job. As such, no one was going to be there to train him because it was apartheid. And the situations trained him, forced him, pushed him. But when he got into democracy, he knew that people needed to be formally trained now about this different system of government. And he allowed us that training, and he allowed women empowerment into politics. He said women should enter politics. So that gave me a lot of courage, and that's what we want to do here. But that's the old, and that's why the movie captures his whole life and how empowering he was, because that teacher background always came to want to educate the community, always make them self-sufficient. But then he's left behind. So when you look at the movie, that's the old chapter, but he's also left a new chapter, like Arish says, that he's wanted us to provide material, substantive material, truthful material, factual material, so that researchers can take it on board and they can see who were their leaders, what did their leaders leave behind for them, who did their leaders relate with, how do we now stop worrying about fickle things and things that don't make a difference in anyone's life. How do we have our fun, but we should also be worrying about important things for our own country. We should be associating with mature people and people who have specialized in this field or that field, or like political parties and good politicians, and learn from them that how can we play a responsible part in our democracy, how can we change things in our country rather than going towards destructive types of politics like protests and all that. But how can we get in there where the power is, in parliament, in the councils? How can we make a difference? Because we can talk, but you just talk. But you don't want a talk shop, because even parliament shouldn't be a talk shop.
Sure.
But when you get in there, you must know that, look here, I'm going there because I need to handle things on a daily basis. As the situation changes, I am going to deal with these matters, and I'm going to do this fearlessly, and I'm going to know my constitution at the back of my hand. And if you know your constitution, you are armed with facts, and then you go out there and you read that constitution to them every day, even if you're one person in that parliament, but you are bringing sanity to the debates in parliament, and you are keeping people on course. So I didn't participate in the 2024 because of a number of reasons, but it was But I am definitely going to participate in the next year's local government election.
She lost 2 kids. Let's not sugarcoat. That's why she didn't.
So
do it.
I didn't, because
don't
emotionally,
just say what it is and tell people the truth.
Yeah, I lost the children, and we as in the Hindu community, we've got to mourn for the 1 year. And so when I finished that, it was already 2023, and the 2024 election, it was just a few months. And then I said the wounds were too fresh to get into parliament as a mother. It's the worst thing to lose your children, and they were like my backbone. So I said to Alex, never mind, let me put my energy then into work that they had started and didn't finish. Let's do this movie. Let me recover. Let me get my strength back emotionally, because if I am strong emotionally, then I can lead people. I can't do it otherwise.
Yeah.
So I need to fix myself and then get onto that road again, because it's a tough road. And so now that's what I'm doing now. I'm just hitting the road.
She's talking about it like, but it's a tough.
Yeah, they've seen, I think,
I've
my
seen
pain
it.
and all that. But the thing is that, I've realized that, like in Ubuntu, they're so beautiful teachings that it takes a whole village to grow a child. And then I thought to myself, people gave my children so much of love wherever they went, and they took such good care of them, even if I was not there. But I knew people were looking after my children.
Yeah.
And across the race groups, people knew the children. And then I said to myself, no, I must not think now that my only child is gone and my daughter-in-law. I must think that I'm a mother to everyone's child, and I must do my duty, and I must take care of the children, because it's a tough job parenting, and at least I must do something that can change people's children's lives so that they can change their family's life and our country's life. So then I think that way, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, and I'm stronger for it. And I'm glad that the movie is done, because the movie encapsulates a lot of one great man's life, that one person could make such a difference and could use his time so judiciously to accomplish so many things. Then who are we to complain that that this can be done or can't be done?
Yeah.
And I think that Mr. Rajbansi's life, this movie, is a lesson for everybody to also clear up a lot of misconceptions about his leadership, but a very balanced view on everything. And then to think that this is not an easy life. We should also appreciate our politicians, and we should support them when they're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And we should, of course, criticize them when we don't agree, because that's the right thing to do. And that it's a give and take along the way. But it's a participatory democracy, and we must grab every opportunity we get to keep our country on track. And I think that this movie is going to do a great job in that sense. And hopefully then for the students of politics, the researchers, and the general public, it'll be an eye-opener that they must start focusing on what matters now. We mustn't complain about on the periphery. We must get into the thick of things, and we must take the opportunities that are given to us. We must make sure that we are alert voters, that we do register to vote, that we do go and vote. And most importantly, we know our leaders. You must know your leader. If you don't know your leader and you're just voting with a flock, you are gone in this country. So everyone, and I'm telling you, even in the Black African community, there are wonderful people with potential who can make, they can turn this country on its head.
Yeah.
They're just not getting the opportunity. Yeah. I see it all the time. And my job is to go and find those people and train them and make them compete and give them a political voice. And eventually, it doesn't matter where they go, because we've always been those that incubator party, training people. I don't want to do it for all race groups. And these are the children that are neglected, but these are the children that will be the most powerful politicians, because they're not connected to anyone. They don't have baggage. They will be able to do the right things.
I just want to say,
that's what I feel.
I'm working on shorter answers for Shameen. We are in training to answer question for next question. We are in training.
I've got two short questions for you, Alex. Number one, where can people catch the movie? And number two, Shameen touched on it. When you read up on Mr. Rajbansi, there are some controversies, and I wanted to know if the movie and the documentary covers some of those.
When I had a meeting with Sham, I told her that, and the kids, I said, I don't want to touch it if it's going to be a pro Mr. Rajbansi piece, that then you guys can do it without me. You don't need a director, because then you just come and put everything together. So what you need is something that's well scripted. And initially, and I know a lot of people came to me and they were like, who's going to narrate this? And who's going to? I said, no, we're not doing that old school documentary boring stuff. We're going to do something that's scaffolded in the way where the stories are told by the people that knew him best. Yeah. And what I love about what we did was we included everything, good and bad.
Sure.
I talk about the James Commission. I talk about the soul seat. I call it the soul seat in it, because people say he sold out to the ANC, right? He sold his seat. I talk about that. What's crazy is that I've got people who called him a sellout in the documentary that will say, they say in the documentary, I called him a sellout. And what's great about it is in retrospect, when everyone looks back on the life of Mr. Rajbansi, they go, he's just a man who did the best he could in the context that he was given.
Sure. I think Mandela gets the similar label as well, called the sellout because we didn't go to war but trying to make a compromised decision on behalf of what's best for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. And so at first I thought the idea was going to be met with resistance by everyone, because I went in there with they were let's do that. They said it'll give a chance if everyone is talking about the controversies, it'll give a chance to clear up some things, but also let the public know what it is, because when you type his name into Google, there's a lot of stuff there, but there's not an explanation to it. A nice thing that I love is when he gets slapped at the trade center. I've got it in there, by AWB member.
Jeez.
And a lot of people know about it, but they don't know the context around it. So it's things like that we've got in the documentary that's so interesting. My partner on my other movies, Dr. Raj Singh, we business partners. He called me after he watched this one. He's not involved in this, but he called me in the morning and he said, I walked away. I thought I knew Mr. Rajbansi. And I just want to tell you, this is an excellent piece of work. And he loved the balance. It wasn't just all, beautiful roses. It was really told by the people, good and bad. And that's what I love about it.
Thank you. Where can people catch the movie?
They can catch it at Cine Centers. They can catch it at Suncoast. They can catch it at PMB Cine Center, and they can catch it in most new metros.
Okay.
Most new metro cinemas. In new metro, you can catch it in Joburg. You can catch it in Cape Town, and you can catch it in Durban. Durban is everywhere. All new metros. Even the new Gateway one that's just opened. They've opened this beautiful cinema in Gateway. It's state of the art. I had a chance to see it, and our movie's going to be one of the first there, and it's quite an honor to have it there.
Sure.
So at the opening tomorrow.
Shameen, I'd like to ask your personal views on the movie. I know it's a personal project for you, but when you watch it, how do you feel about it? Like outside of everything else, and people must go watch, and how does it make you feel?
I think when you sit back and you watch it on that big screen, it's very emotional at times. When you look at the courage, the resilience, the times of pain, the times of disappointment, and so many things that Mr. Rajbansi used to teach me about how do you survive in politics. It was coming back. Like he would say things like, politics is a thankless job. He would say things like, in politics, you must trust people until people let you down, but you mustn't let them down.
Yeah.
And he said, then you can sleep better. Otherwise, you won't make it in politics. But I think that when you look at all that and you listen to the comments, it was very emotional. But in many ways, it was very healing. But I think also the fact that sometimes when I saw pictures where my son was, especially because my son used to accompany him everywhere, it made me very emotional because my son was a child who liked documentaries. And eventually when we didn't get down to finishing or even starting Mr. Rajbansi's book, because he wanted a book written, but he would always, I'd open the book to start writing, and because he'd say that he's going to dictate, and then he would say, close the book, and my book must be only full of pictures. It tells 1,000 stories. So when I looked at the movie, I said, well, finally, my son's idea was, Mom, I don't know when you're going to write this book, but I think that do a documentary, it'll be more appealing to people.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Rajbansi wanted full pictures. So he said that. And then they chose a lot of the pictures, so that those pictures are very meaningful. And I think that it was very healing for that reason, because I've been through so much of losses and so, quick in succession, one loss after the other. And these things have been very painful. But eventually now, sometimes you think you're left alone, and then when you watch it, then you think, oh God, I've lost so many people, and politics eventually is also such a sacrifice, because even that day when my children passed on, they were going for the first IEC meeting to Durban that morning, and because IEC was having changes to the Electoral Act, and my daughter-in-law was a lawyer, and she was going to engage with that. And then I think, I've lost so much. But also, I felt that the movie was a good way to honor Mr. Rajbansi, to honor his life, to do my duty, not only as his wife, but also as his colleague who sat next to him for many, many years in the legislature and worked tirelessly with him in the community. I felt that it needed to be documented. It needed to be an inspiration and a motivation for a whole lot of other people in the community, that these things can be done, but also what is life, what is the complete life of a politician as a human being, and to try and give politics a human face. And I think that that's what it did.
I've got a few personal questions, but I need you guys to first answer if you're proudly Indian. Because if you're not, then the questions don't matter.
I'm proudly Indian.
Proudly Indian. Alex?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on a couple of matters. And I apologize for bringing this here, but I think it should be educational. Number one, what happened in Phoenix during the riots and people being gunned down? I'd just like to hear your views, number one, and also your understanding of what the Indian community took of that, with black people being shot in Phoenix back then.
Well, I think that in that one, what came to mind was the different riots that Indian communities went through in this country.
Yeah.
I first thought about I was sitting MP at that time for KZN, and Phoenix was my constituency. So for me, it became very personal that I was involved in everything that was happening during that process and after that, and how to take care of that.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from Mr. Rajbansi's teachings of the 1949 Cater Manor riots. And obviously, Mr. Rajbansi was a little child then, but he had a lot of memories of that and how to handle these types of riots when he had to deal with the 1988 Inanda riots, 1987-88 Inanda riots. And Mr. Rajbansi was in the House of Delegates then, and how he had to go in there. And his main aim as an MP at that time, he said, was to make sure go and bring calm in the area and to bring peace amongst the communities. Because obviously in these riots and the genesis of these riots is always third forces. He always taught us that never take it that Indian people hate Black African people and that Black African people hate Indian people. He says, don't ever look at it on face value like that. It looks like that. And that's a perception people want to create. But behind it, there'll be a lot of politics. And he said, it's always a politics of fear. Sure. So when the 2021 riots came, I made sure I remembered all those teachings of Mr. Rajbansi and how not to point fingers at any community, but rather to call for an investigation into the whole thing. And I was the only MP that put in a motion of public importance in my legislature that we must have a complete report. And I was sending everything that was coming on the WhatsApp to the police, to our MEC for Safety and Security in the province, to the Premier, and to the council, because there were so many stakeholders involved in this whole thing. And remember, we were getting so much of conflicting reports between private security and clashes with even the government, our SAPs and our Metro Police and all that. So private security were guarding the community because they said that SAPs was not helping, was just a bystander. Yeah. So that's why rioters were having a free run in the area. And then there was the issue of factions, party factions within a party that was causing all this riot. But they used the community as a scapegoat.
You're speaking specifically about the ANC?
I'm speaking specifically about the ANC.
Okay. And the factions being Zuma and Ramaphosa?
Yeah, that faction. So that was the whole thing. And that was the talk in the community. Yeah. Because there were activists in the community that were at loggerheads with each other. And they said that these people became the vulnerable people that got caught in that crossfire of this factionalism that had occurred. So therefore, as an MP, as a responsible MP, and my MPs know that, I'm telling it on your podcast because that's the truth. Yeah. The thing is that I was the MP that called then for a commission of inquiry and report into it. Okay, there were others that were going and reporting into the Human Rights Commission and all that. So that's a Chapter 9 I respected, but I wanted a government inquiry into it. And why I wanted a government inquiry, I'll tell you why. Because when the president came onto the podium to address the nation, he himself told us that it was a failed insurrection. He told us that. He told the country that. So I said that if this is a governance and a government failure, then now this is spilling into affecting businesses that were being looted and society, people that were being hurt because of because my idea of politics is a samosa kind of thing.
Hey.
I'm an Indian.
Proudly.
So, proudly Indian. So it's government sits there on the one corner of the samosa, business sits there, and society sits here. The government, the president is telling us that this is a failed insurrection of his own presidency. My duty as a nationalist, not a proud Indian, but as a nationalist South African, was how do I save my country? Because my president is calling out for everyone to help him because he's saying that the government, there's going to be a regime change. But it's failed. We're holding on, right? I'm a sitting MP. What is my responsibility? Hey, who's going to be the fall guys? It's going to be the business community and it's going to be the society, because now this violence has unleashed onto everyone. And let's see how we're going to control it. So my first thing was every day on the Facebook, I was calling on the president and telling him, send SANDF, send the army in, send the army in. KZN needs the army like now. Army came late. We all know the army came late to KZN. And then we as MPs, we are running around. I'll tell you one thing. I, as a female, I went to meet Dudezane in Newlands East to say to him that let's have peace. I don't know where all this is coming from, but please let's have peace. Our communities cannot fight. I have a photo to prove it.
No, but in what context was it? Was it the assumption that Dudezane had some links to angry
that he
black
was
people?
Influential, he could bring calm. You know, if he made an announcement and if we were seen together, we could bring peace in our communities, because people will know that, you know what, these are other forces that are trying to pin a blame onto us, but let us respect each other. Let us not harm each other. Let us protect one another. Let us not fall into these.
Do you think the black people that got into Phoenix were criminals and maybe were killed by people protecting a community, and then it looked like black or Indian on black violence?
You know, I'll tell you one thing. When the report came out, Peggy Nkunieni was the MEC of Safety and Security at that time. I made her produce a report in Parliament to give us bring into that report an in-depth analysis of exactly who the perpetrators were. I'll tell you one thing. You read that report. There was no photos were included in it, no videos were included, nothing. Those things, God knows where they were. And we, from the public, we sent so many videos, we sent so many photos of things, but none of that was included in the report. But continuously in the report, they carried on saying that this was a Phoenix massacre, and I disagreed with it. And I said, you can't name it a massacre. Okay, I'm not a person who will tell you that I don't want to use the word massacre and thing, but I just wanted first for us to get right what was the cause of this problem, and why did the communities, both our communities, neighboring communities, I worked many years in bringing social cohesion. I want to tell you, in Palmview, that same place where all this violence occurred, across the river, there was a Mauti there and Zwelisha. They were my two favorite townships. When I'd have a function, a social cohesion day in the Reach River School, those communities will come to our school, and our communities from this side will come, and all the because the children were going to the same school. We would have a big social cohesion, this thing. So I knew
Sorry
the
to disrupt you,
community was
Shameen.
loving.
Are you saying we still don't know today What was the cause of the
Yeah,
killing?
till today, no one has owned up to what was the actual cause.
Yeah.
Where did that trigger come from?
Because
You
a
know-
lot of black people, Zulu people, still see Indian people as racist, and they use that as like the most recent reference. And
Yeah.
it would be nice to know exactly what happened so that we can educate people
Yeah.
specifically for peace and social cohesion. Because you find good black people and good Indian people arguing
Yeah.
over that, and then you get a DA
Yeah.
putting up posters saying they see those people that killed people there as heroes, which is one of the things Helen Zille was asked
Yeah,
of
so
recently.
Hanif Hussain was named the mayoral candidate the other day in my backyard in Chatsworth. So I think the movie is making people step up to the next election. But the thing is that he himself admitted on a podium in Chatsworth that it was wrong for the DA to put those posters up.
Yeah.
For the first time, they want to retract it. But I told them that those posters were racist, right? I wasn't going to have anything of that.
Sure.
The other and I told them in Parliament that. The other thing was that we had another MP, and he went in there as using another cap as a bishop of a church, and saying now he wants to go and erect a monument, and he did a peace march first to the police station, and then he wanted to go and erect this monument, and this monument which was going to call this like a massacre. And I told him, hey, how can you play duplicate roles? In Parliament, you're coming and speaking as an MP, then you're going there as a bishop, and then instead of creating peace, you're creating more divisions with this monument, and yet the report is not even a conclusive, proper report. It's still an inconclusive report. And I said that we're not going to have that. We're not responsible. We're not taking responsibility for where the failure lied. The failure lied in a lot of delays. The failure lied in saying that this was already a planned insurrection. It's just that KZN took the worst beating of that kind of thing. But obviously, from the government side, more has to come as to who planned this in KZN and why did they use a racial line to do this kind of division.
Because it wasn't racial at all until the Phoenix
absolutely,
thing, sadly.
It wasn't. And let's go back 1949. Same racial tones. Black and Black African and Indian. And that's white government. Let's go 1987, Inanda riots. Black and Indian. Who was the government? Afrikaner government. Let's go 2021. Who is the government? ANC.
Yeah.
And again, it's black and Indian. Every 35 years, there's a riot, a race riot. And it's Indian and black, sandwiched. Spatially, they were designed to live next to each other, and they've always lived as brethren. When we came as indentured people, our struggles were intertwined. And it defeated apartheid eventually. Now, every time there's a riot, whether it was whichever government, it's always this racial thing. And yet, Indians, I want to even appeal to Indian people that we must never get caught into those traps of ever feeling that we're superior to any other race because we are an equal race to everyone else. It's just that our country classifies us like that. But the thing is that we have to look at ourselves as citizens. We must stop getting trapped into the political fights of either parties or government systems or anything. We must be far removed from that. If we see these things happening, we must do everything to avoid these kinds of clashes. I'm not saying to people that don't protect yourself or don't say, oh, government's not protecting us, then we have to go and do self-protection. But self-protection can also get you into the line of fire, and it can get you into this kind of terrible situation where eventually others who caused that situation to come to that kind of boiling point, actually they run away from the scene and then leave the community to just fight with each other. And what happens? Let me tell you what happens. What is the end game? Same parties that will put up posters and everything, in the election they'll use it as as a fear mongering
Yeah.
in the community. Oh, if you don't vote for us, then maybe 2021 will come back to haunt you. I don't do that
Thank you, Shameen.
in
I'm
my
sorry.
kind. I don't do that in my kind of politics. I want to tell you that. Yeah.
Alex, I want to ask you these two questions. I hope they'll be short. The first one is your thoughts on the Hindu and the Muslim communities, and if they get along, or if there's still issues there that need to be addressed. And then the second one is your views again, or views that you've heard around drug problems amongst the Indian community, specifically in KZN and more specifically in the Durban area. And then we can close off the sit down.
I think that sometimes the Muslim community, you got to admire them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a brotherhood there that's amazing. You know, they support each other's businesses. They make sure everyone is scaffolding. You know, and I think they're rooted in that religiously. I think there's something there that keeps them very much intact. You know, and it's a cultural thing. I think that's what it is. I think with the Hindus sometimes, I think that we're too focused on Hindi, Tamil, Gujarati.
You're divided.
We're amongst our own.
Even within the Hindu community.
Ethnicity.
Well, you know, we've inherited that from, you know, we call it tribe or the caste system. We've inherited that, you know. So we tend to look down on others, and so we've got our own politics within our own system, you know. And I've always felt, and I've been very vocal even when I was a pop star, that we as Hindus have something called crab mentality. Don't deny it. We've got it. We don't like to see each other succeed. As soon as someone starts to do something that you perceive as, you want to bring them down, you know. Every time I release a movie, there's tons of rumors and there's tons of propaganda.
From
that's
your own
coming from my own people.
Yeah.
And they go away as soon as I don't have a product. But as soon as I do have a product, they come up, because ever since I've come into the entertainment industry, your own people will turn on you. And it's not only the people viewing it, it's the people you work with as well. I remember, if I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for a man called Dharam Suraj. He was the CEO of Universal Music, and he believed in me greatly. And I remember when I was doing my deals and stuff with T-Series, I remember him calling me for a meeting. I was like, "Why?" I was young, I was arrogant. He calls me, and then he's like, you know, I just want to tell you something. Be careful of the people you're working with here, because they don't want any bigger stars than them. I'm not going to say who won.
Yeah.
They don't want anyone bigger than them, because we had never seen a pop star at that point of an Indian pop star. No one.
Yeah.
They told me it could never be done, right? And we kind of proved them wrong. But you know, I looked at him and I said, "It'll be okay. It'll be all right." And as soon as I had a #1 single, I could tell that suddenly, you know, now people are working against you. I think that's the difference.
So besides even worrying about any tensions between the Hindus and the Muslims, there's issues that the Hindus themselves need to resolve from your side.
I think that there's a lot of things that I think if we were more united, I think that would be better for everyone, you know. But we've got these little things that we need to deal with. I mean, I think people are too stuck in the past, and I think they need to come around. I don't mind people kind of wanting to cherish their culture and wanting to keep that intact, and you know. But I think we need to find a way to make sure that we teach the next generation. I was hearing Sham talk about, you know, the tensions between Black and Indian, and it's a symptom. I'm going to give you an academic answer because I'm an academic. It's a symptom. You know, you've got two sides who are frustrated with different things. And politically, they want us divided. They've always wanted us divided. They want us divided because we're weaker like that.
Of course.
100% we're weaker like that. And they can control us more when we're doing things like that. The riots, were they opportunists? 100% they would have been. Were they people kind of saying they were protecting the house? Maybe they were. There were a lot of things. I wasn't there, I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is when I was watching the footage or I was watching people show things, is that there's a problem that no one's addressing. And as soon as that came out, government should have came and said, but they don't want that because they want to get into power.
Do you think Muslims are seen as Indians in this country or as Arabs?
I don't know, Sham, I think they're seen as Indians. I'm not sure.
I think it's a lot about identity politics when it comes to our grouping. And sometimes I feel that everyone, because we are classified under Indian, it depends on government policy. I see it happening like a tug of war where sometimes our communities want to classify themselves as Indian, and at other times, depends what the opportunity, where the opportunities arise, then they want to classify themselves differently.
Yeah.
And it's a big problem that that we have this identity politics and we have ethnicity politics. But Madiba used to say that those who ignore ethnicity do it at their own peril. So therefore, you'll find that even as a party, we are accused of indulging in identity politics. But when you see the current scenario of how many political parties are mushrooming every day in the Indian community, you will see them coming along ethnic lines. And their leaders are generally clerics and religious leaders. So they, there's a mixture of politics and religion because of the ethnic identities. And each one, instead of worrying about local politics and worrying about resolving our local issues, they bring in global politics. And it's unfortunate, but it's hurting our country eventually because we are being distracted about the real problems that we have and we want to resolve. So the thing is that I think that like the Americans say, make America great, we can make South Africa great again, but we need to do it, in our own home style way of where our allegiance, and as I told you, I'm a nationalist. And I believe it's more than being just a patriot. And if every South African can be a nationalist first, they'll forget about all the other agendas and they will worry about the agenda on our table and deal with strengthening our core and our holding as a sovereign country in its own right, and not selling off our country wherever and to whoever just because we want some sort of recognition from this country or that country or whichever country. I think that we need to recognize who we are first of all, and the identity politics is a very dangerous area. The thing is how we navigate that and how do we bring our politics like in a united form. I always said that people said, oh, why did you all create the minority front? Because it's divisive. And I said, it's not divisive. We needed to understand that to transform and during the transition, it was very important. But we knew that, okay, the minority front will have a shelf life. And why we said that was because our leader had said that minority rights are human rights, they're universal rights. And then when the minorities are comfortable with the majority government and the majority government embraces them nicely, then and they're comfortable, they'll add stability.
So convert to something else.
They'll be one nation, because that's being nationalist. You look at yourself as one nation, not different people.
Sure.
Obviously, of course, we are included in the diversity and the fabric of the country, but we needed to be one nation first. So the thing is that like this, when you pull to sides, you like breaking a nation. That's what it is, and that's when divisive ideas come, and then we are not stable. So we need stability for growth, and to get stability, growth, and prosperity, peace and harmony, which are goals for 2030, by the way.
Yes.
We're not going to get it if we're going to indulge in ethnicity and not seeing ourselves as a force to be reckoned with, and a nationalist force. That means that we put our country first for everything. So
I have to stop you there. Sorry, Alex, on the topic of drugs.
Just to get back to the question you asked me to answer, I don't think that there's tension between the Muslim and Hindus.
Okay.
I think I'll give you a story.
No problem.
During COVID, I saw some beautiful things from both communities getting together and kind of, delivering things like bread to people's doors, delivering milk. They really got together and kind of, I think that, as much as it might be a cultural difference, I think that when times get rough, I think there's capacity to work together and be quite powerful.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Drugs.
I just wanted to know, what was your specific question about drugs?
No, I've heard that there's a drug problem in Indian communities and in KZN, but specifically in Durban as well.
It's ridiculous.
And I just wanted to hear your thoughts, and if there's anything you'd like to share or shine a spotlight.
I think it's so bad. in different areas. If you're looking at Phoenix and Chatsworth, there is sections within sections that it's really bad, where people are selling pots and pans and finding their parents' jewelry and stuff like that, because they're not hooked. I mean, it's not just, I mean, they're doing some crazy things. I mean, they're doing rat acts and all of those things mixed with the drugs, and they're becoming quite dependent on
What is it? Is it poverty? Is it something else?
You know what? That's such an interesting question. That is, don't think it's poverty. I think you start with a gateway drug,
Okay.
and then you just
just for fun?
just for fun, and then you're chasing something different. You're chasing that high, and you're trying to get to that next level. And somehow someone says, "Hey, let's try this."
Sure.
If you watch the Charlie Sheen documentary recently, you'll see it. I mean, he's got everything, but he's shooting himself up with crack,
Sure.
in the middle of the night someplace, because he's chasing something that. And I think that maybe parents need to be more involved in how their kids, what they do in schools and that sort of thing, because it's very, very easy. I know some people who are rehabilitated that I know personally that found it in school, where someone says, "Hey, do you want to try
Let's
this?"
try
As
this.
a gateway,
Sure.
something like, marijuana or something, just try it and stuff. And then you're chasing something, then eventually, you're down a rabbit hole where, you're not going to school. You're going somewhere to kind of, score something.
Sure.
Or you're doing something for someone in order for them to give you something. And then by that point, it's so difficult. By the time you're in crack cocaine and all of those things, it's so difficult to get off it. Wunga, sugars. I think we've got a crazy sugars problem in our community that needs to be addressed. And that starts with government. I mean, we need to put proper places, like rehabilitation places, which are free in our sections to deal with those sort of things. We also need to put educational houses within our schools to make sure, I don't know if you remember, Pen, when we were in school, we used to have a big drug drive, say no to drugs, this and that. We don't have that anymore,
I think it
right?
came from America at the time, and then it became a global.
It became
say no to
a
drugs.
thing, right? I always say two things. What happened to those campaigns, and what happened to the ozone layer? Like in school, the ozone layer, is the ozone layer all right? Is it there? I'm not sure.
Is there a black hole?
Is there a black hole that Laura's talking about? But yes, there's a huge problem. I know personally, I know a few people suffering at the moment, and family members of mine have tried to help them. They were friends in school with them, and they were really close. They have a brotherhood, and a whole group of friends have tried to help one individual and put him in rehab and that sort of thing. It just hasn't worked because it's difficult. I'm not sure if we have proper procedures in place to get people off it, because there needs to be an after program to there needs to be a monitoring phase after they get off it to make sure they don't get back, because you crave anything like chocolate, right?
Sure.
You want to get back. But the answer is absolutely yes, and it's something that needs to be addressed immediately. It's killing our youth.
I'm really hoping that through the work you guys are doing, and this is my message maybe to, I'll say the Indian community for now, Durban, KZN, but for everyone else, you've got two amazing people, young but not so young.
Yeah, but she's looking great.
She's looking amazing. You're running a program to say, look, you don't have to do drugs. You don't have to get mixed up in rubbish. Come learn how to work in film.
Yeah.
You don't have to act. You can work behind the scenes. You can do script writing. You can do etc.
100%.
We are available for you. There are scholarships available.
Yes.
Here we're saying, look, if you're a young leader, or if you're a budding leader, if you want to just make the world better, maybe you have a relative who's got some type of issue.
Yeah.
We're going to be offering political training. Come and learn what happens so that you can make your society better. We are here. We're trying to do that. And I guess the gateway drug becomes, please go and watch the movie.
Yeah.
The Bengal Tiger. In 1-2 minutes from each of you, just closing remarks on the movie and anything else you want to get off your chest.
2 minutes, huh?
Yeah,
Just keep
2
it 2
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
I think that I just want to
training.
tell people that I was the first drug-wise counselor for Phoenix in my practice.
Jeez, brilliant.
And I did that specifically to deal with the sugars problem that had arisen there. So I know full well about that. But drugs is no way to get anything done. It's very destructive, and our youth must desist from it. And I think that there has to be a bigger role that is played in awareness about drugs, but also law enforcement to reduce the accessibility of drugs and rather move more towards medicinal use of proper, responsible use of drugs.
Sure.
But for the movie, I just want to say to all your listeners out there, Pen, thank you for giving us this opportunity to showcase the Bengal tiger, the Rajbansi story, because it'll be a great story for everyone to watch, and it'll be a great story to tell, a good story to tell this time, I must say. But I think that people must come and watch it for themselves, and they will have a very balanced view, I hope. They will take away a lot of new ideas and a lot of inspiration and motivation of how to really get things done and how the tough gets going when things get tough. And I think that in that way, let's see the new leaders coming on and how that improvement is going to go. But I think with shows like yours, podcasts like yours, we at least have the opportunity to engage. And the more people that watch this podcast, I think that they can learn a lot of things in a lot of areas of their life. And come and watch the movie, and I hope you enjoy the movie as much as we put a lot of energy into producing this movie. But the fruits of it has to be enjoyed by the viewers. Thank
you. You've lost a lot from my side personally. I'm really sorry about your son, your daughter-in-law, your husband. You truly are a tigress in how you still are so positive about change, about giving back, about making society better. To me, at least, the tigress of Newcastle. To everyone else, I guess the tigress from Bengal or of the minority front. Shameen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alex?
I don't want to talk about the movie. I want to make a statement.
Sure.
I want to say that it's going to get, with social media, with integrated schools, it's going to become very, very difficult to divide us. It's very difficult. I've got a class full of kids with different races. I was the head of AFTA for a long time.
Oh snap! Let them know.
Business. I was the head of their business, and I had students from all different walks of life. And let me tell you something. It's going to get really difficult because you can't dupe them forever. And this new generation sees right through the propaganda. They see right through a lot of things. The most heartwarming thing for me is when I go to, I've got a nephew, he's 6. I go to his school and I see how everyone's playing with each other. It reminds me a lot of my youth. That's how we used to be, just multiracial school. No one was thinking about race and all of those things. But I think with the emergence of social media, shows like this, shows like yours, and things that are happening, they're not going to divide us forever. We're going to become smarter. We are becoming smarter, 100%.
Arish, Sirkissoon. Alex said, thank you so much. Thank you for the work you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you for the Academy.
Us. We appreciate you.
I'm looking forward to the premiere. I'm looking forward to watching the movie. I'm going to ask on your behalf that the entire Indian community goes to watch.
Thank you.
Not enough Indian stories are told, in my opinion.
Thank you so much.
The stories that come out is that Gandhi was a racist. The Guptas are Indians that came in and stole money, and Shabir Sheikh and all these. So someone needs to change the narrative and tell the full story. Someone needs to speak about the struggles, whether it's drugs, whether it's internal issues in the Hindu community, etc., because clearly we don't have big voices, which is why Mr. Rajbansi would be a voice, why you would become a voice. Yeah. So thank you for taking on this project. I hope to see more stories like this.
Thank you.
Outside of the fictional work that you do, to tell more of these stories, because we need to document, as you said, for research, so that people can have the facts. We can't keep hearing angry people, politically driven people with motives, telling twisted stories that we don't really understand. So for being a storyteller, for creating, and for not just looking after yourself, but wanting to give back to young people as well. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. I've just finished a big documentary. I won't mention the person's name. I'll just say he might have the power. But it's absolutely mind-blowing as well. He might not release it commercially, but let me tell you something. There are stories out there, 100%.
Brilliant.
100%.
Guys, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, mate.
Easy. Thank you, Shameen.
Thank you.